Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. We do want to continue on with our live events as they're coming into our newsroom. Once again, taking you back out to Washington, D.C., as thousands of supporters are expected to show up today to support those who are being impacted by Iran's regime. This is those in support of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Let's listen back in.
So grateful
so Iran can live again.
A woman
now
and an organization
as we honor
that is
Iran
ready
with the
to usher in
anthem,
a new future
Iran.
for Iran. And you cannot get someone who more represents what that future should look like. Yes, she has suffered. Her family has suffered.
All right, as you see, they're trying to understand a little bit more about the audio incident that we're having there as we're continuing to work on getting different shots there of that feed. But again, this is coming from Washington, D.C., and this is going to be a march that happens there on Capitol Hill. I do want to take you out to this. It's a live vantage point that we have of the U.S. Capitol building. But what we know, again, is that thousands of people, this isn't only actually happening here in the United States. There's also yet another rally that's happening there in London at the same time. But let's see if we're able to go back to that feed. We do believe we have the audio issue worked out. Let's listen in.
Tested. And John F. Kennedy uttered some of the most famous words of his whole presidency when he said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." And what did he say? He said in German, "I am a Berliner too." And people said, "But no, you're John Kennedy, you're in the United States." But he didn't say that. He said the cause of freedom is bigger than any one of us. It's a human cause that unites people all around the world. I may be Irish in my heritage, but I'm a human being, and I am so grateful that I've grown up in a free country where my children do not have to be kidnapped by my government and tortured and shot and hung. The people of Iran demand nothing more than what every American takes for granted. And we as Americans ought to stand by the cause of freedom, because this year, the 250th anniversary of our founding, we should commit ourselves to the principles of democracy, not just here in the United States, but this is a movement that's bigger than any one country. This is a movement about human dignity, and this is the movement that's been unified thanks to the unwavering leadership of Madam Maryam Rajavi. Give a great hand to our friend and the leader of the national resistance, Madam Maryam Rajavi. Thank you. Maryam, thank you so much for your leadership over these many years.
شخصیت‌های محترم، دوستان گرامی، به همه شما درود می‌فرستم. گرد همایی و تظاهرات شما یک پیام قوی و پرقدرت است، هم برای مردم ایران و هم مردم جهان. به مردم ایران میگویید از ایستادگیتان در برابر فاشیسم دینی و از ادامه مبارزه و قیامتان برای سرنگونی این رژیم پلید حمایت.
As you can see, they're playing a video out at this event at this point. It's not in English. But once again, I do want to provide some background information about what we're watching here as this is unfolding in our nation's capital. What we do know is that the National Council of Resistance of Iran, also known as the NCRI, office here in the U.S. and diaspora, activists are today holding this high-profile demonstration in D.C. directly under the upper Senate Park next to the U.S. Capitol. Now, this event was organized under the banner of stopping the regime's surge and executions and supporting the Iranian people's resistance, and is expected again to see thousands of people potentially attending there in our nation's capital. Those folks say that they are demanding the international action against the terrorist regime that is currently ruling Iran. So those organizers are now calling for the immediate and international intervention to halt executions and mass killings and to hold the regime's judicial executioners accountable in order to save the lives of some of those political prisoners. They also say they want full support of the interim government that's outlined in a 10-point plan. They also say they are looking to receive recognition of the Iranian people's legitimate struggle to overthrow the clerical regime, including the resistance units in confronting the IRGC, also known as the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Lastly, these folks there who organized the event do say that they are also really paying attention to the advancement towards a democratic and secular republic under the guiding principle of no to the Shah and no to the mullahs. The demonstration that is coming, of course, against heightened concerns over the regime's escalating execution of political prisoners and protesters, particularly those linked to the January 2026 uprising. That all happened ahead of the war with Iran, with the United States. And so once again, thousands are expected to show up today to make their voices heard there in Washington, D.C., overlooking Capitol Hill there in the background. So we did want to bring this to you here on Live Now from Fox, but being that this portion isn't in English, we're going to slide away for our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour and continue on with some of our other top stories. Actually, in fact, we were listening into one of those speakers as he took to the stage. We didn't get his full comments, so let's play that out for you here on Live Now from Fox before going to break. Let's listen.
Good morning, everybody. People out here in our nation's capital, which is a symbol of democracy all around the world, and how appropriate it is that we're here celebrating democracy in the longest democracy in the world and about to celebrate the future of democracy in a liberated Tehran. So it's an immense privilege for me to stand with you today for the Free Iran March here in Washington. It's a declaration. It's a declaration that you've not surrendered and that tyranny has not prevailed and that the cause of freedom is alive, is organized, and is advancing. We are obviously in a moment of history shaped by people who refuse to bow and by a movement that refuses to abandon its ideals. Your message today is unmistakable. There is a democratic alternative to the religious fascism ruling Iran. Today also marks the 40th day since the execution of Commander Vahid Bani Amarian and Abu Hassan Mansour. On April 4th, 2026, at the dawn of that Saturday, the regime hoped that they would bring silence to these two courageous members of PMOI-MEK who were hanged in Ghazel Hassar prison. Vahid was only 34 years old. He was an electrical engineer and a fearless leader of a resistance unit whose courage terrified the regime, which is armed with prisons and gallows. Abu Hassan was 67 years old, an architectural engineer and a veteran member of the MEK, representing another generation of sacrifice, having been a political prisoner under both the Shah and the current mullahs. And his life was a testament to the struggle that continues to this day.